From the bottom, we out here getting it. Don't know what a limit is. Only surround yourself with people you plan to finish with. Consistency the key, unlock the door to your dreams. Prepare, plan, and execute, complete, and then repeat.
What up? Back with another episode of From the Bottom podcast. As always, we got your host Fitz. We got Ty.
Yeah.
We got Shalisha.
Hello.
We got Tati.
Hi.
Hey, time out for a second. When'd you get a nose ring?
My nose has been pierced for years.
Hmm.
Sometimes I wear it,
I guess you
sometimes I don't. You guys had an episode and Robert named it the nose ring on the podcast.
I didn't name a nose ring.
It was something
No, you didn't.
along those lines. In one of the podcasts, you guys was talking about it.
I do
It was
have to
like
give someone a shout out though.
way before. Ooh.
Ooh.
So this person, I was supposed to shout them out like 3 weeks ago, and I told them I would. It's my sister Cassandra. She watches every episode of the podcast, and she gives like pointers, and one of the pointers she was saying was she likes listening, but she felt like we kind of go like in the beginning we talk too much and we don't go into the topic. So that's why we made the adjustment just to go into the topic sort of, is because I went back and we were spending like 30-40 minutes in the beginning just BSing going over random stuff. So I told her I'd shout her out for giving that criticism.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to
Go
Cassandra.
Cassie.
Shout out to Cassie. She did say Ty would have something negative to say about her.
That's you?
She said, watch, Ty's gonna say something like, why are you saying her name?
You dead ass?
You gonna make him say something.
Say something.
Robert's an
She
instigator.
needs to say something.
Nah, they know better.
She needs to hear it.
They know better.
See, he's saying something, but he's not saying nothing.
I'm gonna just leave it at that. They know better.
How
what-
do you say something and not say something at the same time?
Right.
Because that's Ty. He's saying something. That's like saying to somebody, if somebody's like, I could beat them up in a fight, and it's like, nah, they know better to say that. You're pretty much saying that you can, but you're not saying it. I feel like that's what he's doing right
Isn't
there.
that saying something?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He was saying something and saying something like it was happening at the same time.
It
I was
is.
saying that-
Nah.
He's saying by the
People
little
know
things
better.
that Ty is saying, he's putting like subliminals in it.
He's
He got
saying
ready
something,
to
but not
lie.
saying that.
That's what Robert said.
I don't have listen. When I say they know better, people know better than to overstep boundaries. Call me Tabitha Brown Jr. You feel me?
Who?
I'm gonna have to handle this gracefully.
Hey.
Okay, so you are saying something. So you
Yes.
saying something.
I'm
Okay.
not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. Whoever takes it the way they take it. I can't help other people's perspectives or their emotions. Sometimes people let their emotions get the better of them.
Now he's saying she emotional. Wow.
But
That's crazy.
but
That's crazy.
Robert.
people know better than to
What people?
You
What's
an
their
instigator,
name?
bro. You're so
allow my
crazy.
name.
You're an instigator.
So
Nah, it's all love. How's your guys' entrepreneurship journey going? Since we're on
he trying to tap the whole podcast with that. Good try though. Good feedback, Sandra. Maybe we'll put you on the podcast one day.
Yes,
Maybe.
sir.
Can't make any promises, but
Your brother saying he don't want you on the podcast. That's what he's saying.
I can either confirm or deny. But how's y'all entrepreneurship journey going? More importantly, how's y'all entrepreneurship journey going?
Mine's going good so far. I'm learning how to have balance throughout that and my life and make sure I don't burn out my battery. So
Balance.
still growing, still learning, and making the necessary adjustments to keep going and to succeed. So no complaints. Learning experience.
What's the main thing you want to balance?
everything. Trying to like balance everything together, but then I also learned that I have to be better when planning. My planning was a little bit off, which initially threw everything off altogether, but because the planning was off, things got hectic, and I found myself overdoing it in one area of life and not so much the other, or just taking like that breath, that step back to appreciate, reevaluate everything, and make the necessary adjustments. So.
Have you taken the Life Balance and Core Beliefs workbook? Have you looked at that?
The one I got in my emails from signing up on your thing?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I've skimmed it, but I haven't worked it. So
work through it. I guarantee you
that.
I guarantee you that will help, because that really puts in front of you where you're putting your energy and where you're not putting your energy, and gives you like a snapshot of how to balance things out. It's like a budget for your life, if you will.
No, definitely. I did skim it, but just haven't worked it yet. But gonna start working on that. Let you know how it goes.
I can't relate. Nah. I can
You the one sent the workbook.
I could always relate.
I did it. You did the workbook. Exactly.
Yeah, I did the workbook, so I can relate. What about you, Ty?
Everything's cool, man. Just going with the flow.
That's it.
Bro, y'all don't realize how chill I am 24/7. Like,
I'm talking about the entrepreneurship journey. Like, what are you doing?
Bro. I'm about to finish school in 6 weeks. So after we finish school, we might be making some moves to move to a different location. So we just put some things in motion and just wait for them to play out the way they need to play out.
All right.
So bro, what y'all want, bro? I ain't got no little deep thing. I'm still doing the same.
It don't gotta be deep.
So it don't gotta be deep. It's just like, what are you planning to start? If anything, like, what are you? So you're not trying to be an entrepreneur?
It's going at the pace I want it to go.
But what?
What pace?
It's going out of pace, bro. What you mean?
What specifically are you working on now that is
school
aligning? Okay, so you're working on
school first, bro.
So you're working on school. After you finish school, what are you trying to start putting in motion?
Well, I'm gonna work a little 9-to-5 job until I get situated to where I want to be able to venture off and do the dog training stuff. Right now, I'm working with people and training their dogs and things like that. But it's simple. That's it, bro.
Man, I feel like I'm asking a dog a question. I'm like, you barking over there. You like, ruff, 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 ruff. And I'm like, what are you trying to tell me?
Bro, that's it. It's simple. It's never complex.
But we got listeners though. They want to hear that. They want to hear, because a lot of people, that's their journey too. A lot of people, they're working a 9-to-5 so that they can eventually venture off and start what they're doing. So they need that perspective. They need that weekly update on how it's going, that transition. You could be like the 9-to-5 transition coordinator,
It's going good. Right now, I'm searching for a job. I got a couple job opportunities, just waiting to hear back from them. And I'm just going with the flow, man. I'm just going through the motions. I ain't putting no pressure on it. It's going to happen when I make it happen. It might be sooner than later. It might be later. Just, I just enjoying the journey and enjoying the moments that come with it. So I ain't applying too much pressure.
I feel it. What about you, Tati?
Yes, God.
What am I supposed to say?
I feel it.
I feel it.
That boy's trying to kill me.
The details. It's all about the details.
Uh-oh.
Go, girl.
Okay. So my entrepreneurship journey is going well. We're just trucking along. It's this weird part where you're doing work, but you're not making any money. So it just feels weird. And you keep thinking in the back of your mind, I could be doing this or doing that, and I could be getting paid in 2 weeks definitely, and all that stuff, but then you wouldn't be making progress towards this goal of being self-reliant and achieving financial freedom. And so it's just trying to keep your head up during this period. I think this is the hard part, and I hope that when income starts to flow in, it at least from the financial perspective, it gets a little easier to get up in the morning and just keep going. um I saw a post today on Instagram, and it was some old guy talking about the first 100,000 is the hardest part, but after that, it's supposed to be not as bad.
Yeah, I seen that video too.
Oh, it was like a picture with just an old man, and it just said like some quote. I didn't know there was a video. I didn't
Yeah,
see the
he
video.
made a video too.
Oh,
But I think that's a that's a real perspective. And the way I look at it, when you're not getting paid at first is, and I said this earlier to Tati, is, you are getting paid, it's just not in your bank account yet. Like it's just not there. You kind of have to look at it like a longer time period between when you get paid. But then when you do start getting paid, it's gradually going to increase and increase and increase if you're doing what you're supposed to do and all that stuff. But I think that is a big challenge for a lot of people, is there is a time period where you may not be getting paid. And when you do, it may not be a lot, but you're building something at the same time. It's like when you invest in real estate, you put a down payment down. The down payment doesn't disappear. It's just you don't have access to it right now because it's in the property. Like it's in the equity of the property. So you're in the beginning, you're pretty much building equity in your property to get it to the point to where it starts paying you. But check out that Life Balance and Core Beliefs workbook, because that will help you get your priorities in line. That will help you really create a purpose for yourself and your business so that you can have what it takes to keep pushing when you don't feel like getting up because you're not getting paid and stuff like that. And I was just reading today a book called Atomic Habit by James Clear. And he was saying that humans are actually hardwired for instant gratification. And that's why a lot of people fail at business, is because they cannot overcome that natural hardwire of being, of needing that instant gratification. And so when you work, we're used to getting paid. So when you work and you're not getting paid, that can be a difficult thing that you ultimately have to overcome if you want to go to the next level.
I just want to add, I don't think I need it like at a snap of the finger. I know it's not going to be overnight with the money, and I never walked into it expecting that. But definitely as the numbers get lower in my checking account, and rent and of course due, reality gotta set in at some point. We gotta have a place to live if we're gonna be building a business now. So we gotta
Gotta
find a
grind.
balance.
Yeah, that's when you see what you're made of. And I think being a college student as well helps, because you're used to not having money.
Oh yeah, but I guess I could live in my car.
But this is just in general. This isn't aimed. This isn't aimed at you. This is just in general. If someone's starting a business, there's a time period where you're not going to get paid. It's like you see your bank account going lower and lower. That's an opportunity for you to step it up, or that's an opportunity for you to step away. It just depends on the person. It's not attacking anybody. It's not saying there's a right or wrong answer. It's just saying these are things to expect.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about giving up. Don't give up. Just fighting. Fight the good fight.
All right, let me get in.
You may not be getting paid financially, but you get paid in self-development. You get paid in mental stability, emotional. Like, you really have to dig down and reevaluate all that and perfect it almost.
Yeah.
So once you do that, then the money start rolling in.
I appreciate that positivity that you just added to this. Thank you for that. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. as opposed to negativity I was dishing out.
No.
And you can get a side job while you're trying to build up your business too.
Well, see, that's funky too, because when you start working the side job, it's like, oh, you at the side job.
Not necessarily.
Could have been at this other.
Not necessarily. I think a lot of people.
Side job.
I think a lot of people crap on that, but you have to use it to where it benefits you. So one thing that I was looking into was like customer service. So you need customer service if you're gonna have a business. You need to know how to handle certain people, handle certain situations. So you could always be a customer service representative for somebody and work at home part-time. But that you have to make sure it adds value to what you want to do as far as your business goes. I think a lot of people crap on it and then they immediately want to jump into entrepreneurship, which is fine, but they find themselves at the bottom because they don't have no money coming in. At least you have somewhat of a little bit of income coming in that you can save, spend where you need it to in order to get, I'm not even gonna say faster, but speed up the process a little bit.
Basically a cushion. Yeah, I've seen that too, and that's a method to do while you're building a business. Like there's this dude, bald headed, I forgot his name, but he does this thing called 9 to 5 Millionaire, and basically it's his program where he teaches people who have saved up money already working that 9 to 5 job, getting the salary pay or whatever they were doing hourly, I don't know. Yeah. And then transition into, basically this is where you should put your money that you already have because you've been working and you saved it up. And so that's a method. And, I would say it's funky because it like, works. Oh,
I'm doing it.
Depending on how you look at a 9 to 5 in and of itself, and it being, higher risk because, your livelihood is dependent on the whims of an employer. So that in and of itself does put more risk. But if the job market stays stable for the particular job you hold and you're able to work that job and make your money, then okay, you've saved up this money working that 9 to 5. And then at some point you say, okay, I've decided I want to get into this business. And then you just take your money and, dump whatever thousands of dollars in advertising because you have it at your disposal because you've been saving it all up. And then you can just jumpstart your business and get all these, do whatever you do on social media and just do that. And, that's a method, that's a path. And it's probably a lot less, I don't know, hair raising than the jumping in with not much of a cushion, but you're going to get to that financial freedom a little bit later in life than maybe what you would have been able to do had you started earlier. So it's this weird thing.
Maybe though, because there's benefits to having a part-time job or a 9 to 5. You might network with some people that might put you where you want to be way faster than you doing entrepreneurship right off the bat. I'm not saying that, you don't have to work a 9 to 5. What I'm saying is that use it to your advantage. You have a chance to network with people. There's people that are doing stuff on the side. They're just doing this job for fun, but they have stuff on the side in the works that maybe could benefit you. They might know somebody who knows somebody. Like somebody told me a quote that said, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So you might meet somebody who knows somebody that got, big dollars. They might invite you to something and they say, hey, this is Tatiana. She wants to start this clothing brand. Boom. That person is going to just talk to you based off of that person because they know that person, they respect that person. So they're going to give you an opportunity. Right. So I think we look too much at the negative side of it and not the positive side of it. You don't have to work a 9 to 5. I mean, if you have money, you got a nest, you can work part-time. You could also work full-time. The thing about people who work full-time 9 to 5 is that they become lazy. It's not because they're unmotivated. They're lazy. They don't want to be dedicated and disciplined to whatever dream, business, whatever they want to do. Because they let the 9 to 5 suck it out of them. You could work a 9 to 5 and still work on a business. 100%.
Oh yeah, I've seen posts about that too. Like, oh, you have that period from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. If you work a full-time job, 9 to 5, you've got this other period right here where you could be working on your side hustle or your personal business endeavor. And so that's something I've seen as well. I see a lot of posts about business on Instagram. Check out the Instagram at FITZMINDSET. We got a lot of good stuff on our feed. This is all in our feed. This is just stuff me scrolling through,
Yeah.
and seeing what's on there. A lot of information.
And we should definitely, I know we did a similar podcast to this in the past, but we could revisit it now that we've had some time to get some experience in this stuff. But I do have a topic today, and this topic I actually wrote a blog post about, and I think I put it out today, but it was it's about listening, and the reason I felt like this was so important is because I realized, when I was just reflecting, that I love to argue, like it's one of my passions,
Yes.
like, and it's something that I do automatically, but I don't do it to hurt people or anything like that. Like, sometimes I'm just curious. Sometimes I just want to ask questions. And then when somebody says something, it's like I dig a little deeper and then it becomes an argument. So I was just thinking about that. And, in the terms of business, it amazed me when I started business how little people actually knew when they would say stuff, or like even people that have been doing it longer, they say certain things and they're clearly wrong, but everyone listens to them because nobody wants to be the person to call out the one who has more money than them and stuff like that. But it's just crazy how when you actually sit back and listen, you gain so much more of a deeper understanding than when you are just the person out there in the forefront, always having an opinion about something, letting it be known. And that really got me in this conversation about listening to understand, because I think, especially when we're starting businesses, and Shalisha can probably attest to this, even with real estate, there's so many different people that are like saying different things, and this is how you should do this, and this is how you should do that. And it's hard to pick who to listen to, who should you just sit back and listen to. Everybody has an opinion. And I just felt like this conversation was necessary because there's so much emphasis put on doing, but never taking the time to really step back and understand. So one of the questions that, I found interesting was, how do you find a balance between listening to yourself and listening to other people? And we've kind of touched on it in previous podcasts, but we haven't really gone into real detail as far as listening. So what do you guys think about that? How do you find that balance between when to listen to someone else and when to listen to yourself? And maybe you could open it up, Shalisha.
Hold on. In terms of what?
I
Like,
think
what?
just
I guess give it a setting.
So a setting could be, let's say, well, let me define listening. Listening, not in terms of doing what they say, but listening to understand and not listening to respond. Like just a conversation, not saying that you're going to go do what they say or that you agree with what they're saying, but just you're having a conversation with somebody and they're talking to you about let's say the dog business, like the dog care business. And every time they say something, you got something to say. It's like, like you're in that to have a debate with them instead of like, okay, let me truly understand what this person is saying. So in that context,
Okay.
what do you think, Shalisha?
I think that's a good question. To whoever put that in the box, I'm just saying. No, but I think it's very important to find that balance. In doing so, you have to find out what is most important to you. I had to learn that you can listen to what somebody else says, but it may not benefit you the way that you need it to. And sometimes while listening to yourself or trying to listen to yourself and other people, you can get confused and it can be clouded. And even though that other person has good information that they're trying to feed to you, that it may not pertain to you exactly, you also have to have an open mind when listening to other people and listening to yourself. So for me personally, I'm learning to listen to myself more so than other people or other things when it comes to all aspects of my life. You do have to trust in your intuitions. At the end of the day, you do know what is best for you, but it's also good to get other perspectives and other feedbacks. I love getting different perspectives and different feedbacks, but personally working more so on listening more to my own feedback because I do know what's best for me, but still applying it when I need to.
So you're more so thinking about listening in terms of doing what someone says and not listening to them in terms of like just a conversation and trying to understand them.
Before, yes.
So
Like,
now
you
when
can
you're
listen
talking to
and
someone, what do
hear.
you do?
You can still listen and understand what somebody is saying, like you were saying, and not act on it.
So how do you find that balance personally? Like, do you just go and pick who you want to speak to you, or do you block out things that you don't want to hear? How do you decide who to listen to and what to listen to?
Well, I'm a very open person, so I listen to everything. Again, if it's going to benefit me or if it pertains to me or if I feel like I can learn something from it, then that's something more I put my focus towards. If I feel like it's not, I don't know, if I feel like it's nonsense, I guess you could say, or it's not really going to help me in the long run or the short term, or I can't learn something from it, then I really don't put that much energy into it.
Like country
But
music?
initially I go in with an open mind. Oh, I love some country music. Don't play with me.
Who's
I
your
have a
favorite
karaoke
country
video
song?
of me and Zeb.
Ooh.
Song or singer?
Singer and
I'm
song.
bad with names.
What's your favorite song?
So my all-time favorite song is
Dang.
okay, so I have two. And one of them I might have to look up. It's not. Well, she's in one of them. So it's Mama's Broken Heart and Something Bad. Carrie Underwood is in Something Bad. And it's Miranda Lambert who sings both of those. And they're my favorite because of Zet, our sister. She introduced them to me in Greeley, and the way that her and my nephew, now all of my nephew and nieces, just jam out to it is the best. It is a good song. I'm not gonna lie, I listen to it by myself, but yeah. And I like some Gavin DeGraw. Like my interest is wide.
Well,
What
you
about
just ruined my joke.
What about Jason Aldean?
Wide.
Again,
I'm bad with names. You might have to say a song or something.
Florida Georgia Line.
Robert Fitzpatrick.
What? You can't sing. Why? Chill out.
See
what
that?
music you do?
I've been limited. What about you, Ty? How do you pick who to listen to?
I like that country music though. That's tough.
It's so relaxing in front of a fire. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, you know, like for me, I like country music too, but it's like a break from what we usually listen to. Well, I don't listen to a lot of that stuff no more, but when you listen to rap, a lot of times it's just you need something different to erase the toxicness, I guess.
What about in life? Not specifically music, but just people.
Can I just add that not all rap is toxic, and you got to find these artists because they out there.
We going into another
Yes.
conversation.
Oh my gosh, yes, girl.
Everybody
yes.
in the toxic.
Look,
Wait a minute.
yes.
Everybody ain't out here talking
Let's
about.
focus.
Right.
Let's get focused.
Right.
The artists
You're
I have chosen was
right.
toxic. Let me read.
There you go. That's your choice.
The artists
I should not have talked about this country music.
But
You shouldn't have.
I primarily listen to myself nowadays. I don't really get involved in too many other people's opinions and perspectives.
Wait, you rap and then you listen to your own
music? We off the rap music.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now we off of that. Now we talking about the balance.
I'm sorry.
I was like, you rap? Let me listen to
you rap and then you play your own music and listen to yourself.
So I just okay. So when I say listen, I don't mean like listen to what they say and do it. I mean like a one-on-one conversation. Just say you're talking to your mom or something, and you guys are going back and forth and you clearly disagree. That type of listening, like where you listen not to respond, but to understand what she's actually trying to say and where she's coming from.
Yeah, I'm an active listener. I kind of let people talk and say what they got to say, and then I have a conversation with them if I got something to say, and then we kind of meet in the middle, and then that's pretty much it. That's the balance. It's not really, I'm not really trying to break down what people say, I guess. It's more of on the up and up. When I do have conversations with people, it's intellectual. It ain't really, it's not me trying to figure out what the problem is or, you know, whatever the situation may be. And then as far as everything else, I listen to people that are going in the same direction as me or on a journey. Like there was a podcast I wanted to watch yesterday, but I didn't watch it because the people who were interviewing this specific person were treating it as garbage. And it wasn't garbage to me because this person actually was on his journey to healing as an individual and as a male. And he had touched on a lot of points that I like. Specifically, he touched on being able to be vulnerable, and that's something I want to listen to, but I couldn't get anything out of it because they kind of saturated it with negativity almost. So I had to. So certain things I listen to. Some things just pop up that I'm supposed to listen to. It's just kind of the way the universe works for me, and it's just I have a balance. Ultimately, I listen to myself at the end of the day, but when it's with people, I try to be very cordial and peaceful about it. Even if the situation is hot, I try to just have everybody cold.
Mm, nice use of that word right there. What about you, Tati?
Tatiana raps.
Can we reiterate the question?
Spit some
So-
bars.
The question is pretty much how do you find that balance of when to listen to other people and when to not, and I get
Oh,
in the context of, I guess I didn't make it clear enough. It's like in the context of a conversation, because that's where most of our relationships take place, whether it's with the boss, significant other, is through conversation. And so listening, like Ty was saying, active listening is where you kind of just listen to what they have to say. You're not really thinking about what you're going to respond with or how to win the conversation, I like to say, but just truly understanding where they're coming from and what they're actually trying to communicate.
so okay, now I'm confused. I thought I understood at first, and then the context actually made it a little bit more confusing. So, are you saying when do you listen to listen, and when do you try to argue with somebody?
Pretty much, yeah. Like how do you find that balance? Because we're
Okay.
assuming that no one's 100% listening and that there's always that urge to kind of jump in and give your piece.
I'm ready to.
What you got to say?
So this is what I got to say. I don't like arguing with people really at all. I just, you say what you say, and then I do what I do, and that's it. So
Talk your talk, queen.
if you want to talk to me for 47 minutes and 52 seconds about your perspective on something, then I guess I'm sitting here for 47 minutes and 52 seconds listening to your perspective on something, and I'm not going to interject or jump in on you because I know at the end of the day you want to be heard. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. I know that you just want to be heard, and so this is only going to be prolonged if I don't sit here and just listen to you, and it's just gonna make everything just gets worse. It's better and it's simpler if you just listen to somebody, and you never know what they're going to say. They might have something to add. They might say something you didn't know, and then you learn from it, or they might say a bunch of stuff you already knew. But either way, people like to just talk and hear themselves talk. I'm sure I do it too. I don't know if it's human nature or what to call it. It's just something that we do as a social creature. We like to speak and be heard. And so understanding that, I know that, at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I do, but sometimes people just see what you're doing and they got something to say and they want you to hear them out, and you just sit through that and take what you do from it, and you do what you decide to do at the end of the day. You're your own person. You control you. Don't let no one else control you. You people have their remarks, facts, opinions, and you just take it and do what you will.
Bro, people get mad at me sometimes because people be wanting me to reply with an opinion, and I'm like, they have to tell me, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm just like, I really ain't got no opinion on it. This is how you feel, that's it. You say what you gotta say, and we go from there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, especially when someone's asking you for your opinion, you've invited my mind into the conversation. Basically, like you've invited me and my thoughts into this. you came and just started giving me your thoughts, and then now you're asking me for my thoughts. So I don't think that's fair to get mad at me when I give you what you want. When I give you what you want, don't get mad at me for that. Like, I mean, you can have a difference of opinion at that point and try to pick my brain a little bit and try to understand. That's one thing, but don't start getting frustrated and upset and red in the face because I said something that just like, oh,
It burned him.
like, why are you saying that? No, that's not what I was saying for the past 20 minutes. How could you possibly say something other than what I was saying for the past 20 minutes? Like, hold on, man. You can talk yourself to the grave. And don't mean I got to come with you on that journey. What? Come on, man.
But it is important to know when to just listen and not say
Yes.
nothing. Like Robert was saying, he likes to argue. Sometimes people just want to be heard. So they just want you, and not in content to Robert. The rest of what I'm saying doesn't apply to you.
Yes,
It's just
it does.
I'm using what you were. No, it doesn't. I'm using what you said in your example to, I guess, lead into what I was saying. But along the lines of what you were saying, some people just want to be heard. So some people don't necessarily want your feedback, which is why I think it is good to become an active listener.
Well, let me ask you guys a follow-up question to that. So Ty, you were saying that sometimes when people are talking to you and then after they're finished talking and you listen to them and then they ask you what you think, you don't really have nothing to say. So if they're asking you a question that pertains to something that you're going to be involved in with the future, like let's say that you had a customer and they were telling you about, like, I want you to do this, this, and this, and this, this, and this, and this, this, and this. And they say, what do you think? And then you say, I don't have nothing to really say. Do you think that they're going to feel comfortable? I don't know. Like, depending on what they said, they may or may not feel comfortable that you understood what they were saying or that you're on the same page with them if you don't give them some type of feedback to at least acknowledge, like, I understand what you're saying. I understand your concerns. I can definitely address that. Like, imagine you went somewhere to return something and you were like, yeah, it's broken, da, 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 da. And they just stood there and they looked at you and they didn't say nothing. And they're like, so am I going to get my money back? And they were just like, I ain't got nothing to say. It's like, at what point is it like, okay, well, feedback is kind of required because you're also involved in this?
I mean, in that specific scenario, when people go to the dog trainer, you already know what they're there for. You get their dog trained. Their dog has some type of behavior modifications. They want basic obedience. They just need a board and train. Like, if somebody tells me what they want, all right, there's nothing. There's no feedback needed. In certain situations, there's no feedback needed, even if it involves me. If someone's telling me this, this, and this, okay, cool. That's it. That's all that needs to be said. I don't need to dissect it anymore or break it down anymore if I understand it clearly.
But how do you let them know that you understand it without letting them know? Like, if they don't know you and you don't know them and they're communicating something with you and they're like, okay, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. And you're just like, I ain't got nothing to really say to kind of affirm you and let you know we're on the same page. How do you feel comfortable with somebody that doesn't have any feedback?
It's not up to me to affirm what anybody does. If they don't believe it themselves, me affirming it ain't gonna make a difference. I'll say,
don't think so?
Or I'll agree. No, for sure. You can't bring something to somebody that you truly believe in, you have a purpose in, and if you don't believe in it, like if you only believe in it halfway and you go to somebody else to affirm it, you don't really want that. That's not your purpose. I can't go to you and say, Fitz, I want to do real estate. And I'm not all the way in, I'm 10% in. And you're like, yeah, you should do it. You can do this, blah, 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 blah. If I can affirm it myself, what is your affirmation for me gonna do? It's not gonna spark anything for me. Yeah, you believe that I could probably do it, but if I'm not 100% in, it ain't gonna matter.
Well, not affirming whether you could do something or not. I'm more so talking about a situation where feedback is kind of needed.
Yeah, I mean, I judge it. I judge it based off if feedback is needed or if somebody's taking an opportunity that they want to do. But it's your generic feedback. You should go do it. Go try it. Take risk. Like it's not nothing where I'm like, I support them, but it's from a distance. Like they have to figure that journey out on their own. I can support you, but I'm gonna tell you some basic stuff. Go do it. You can do it. Go try it. Let me know how it goes. Like that's it.
I feel it. What do you think, Shalisha? Or did you
I
forget?
think
Did you forget what
sometimes-
we were talking about?
Shelly's like, yeah,
Why would I forget? No. I think sometimes, you know, you gotta give a little. People, I do feel like people can benefit from that. It may not necessarily be that they're not believing in it themselves or whatever, but sometimes they just need that, I guess you could say, extra vote of confidence, or just even kind of like that security feeling of like, okay, you heard me, you understand. Some people just need that. So I feel like when it's needed, it's important that you listen to what they're saying and try to understand so you can give the appropriate feedback without necessarily turning something into an argument.
Yeah. I think that's where I was going with it is, you know,
Yeah.
if we're having a conversation that has to do with both of us, right? Like if me and you
Mhm.
are supposed to go see Lil Wayne at a concert and you're supposed to
Well,
drive,
speaking of concerts,
right? We're supposed to go see Lil
Right.
Wayne at a concert and you're supposed to drive.
it's
That's
like,
what we
yeah,
talked
okay, I
about.
understand that I'm supposed to drive.
Yeah, if I'm like, so you said you were gonna drive and
And
you're
I'm just
10
like,
minutes
okay.
late, what's going
Or-
on? You know, and it's just
Right.
like I don't have nothing to say. I'm not gonna tell you how far away I am. It's just, you know, I ain't got nothing to say. You know, like that's what I'm talking about when you're actively involved in something and you're listening to the
Yeah.
other person and what their concerns are, and then there's no feedback, you don't know anything, there's nothing. How is that person supposed to trust you in the future? And I'm asking this because in business, a lot of the times there's not communication between, you know, like people, you know, like you're selling something and
Communication is
someone's
key.
buying something. And sometimes there's not the face-to-face communication. So things can get broken down. And now all of a sudden you thought that you were doing some good coaching. And then now this person thinks that you're trying to do this and that. Like I've had clients that I've worked with in real estate that swore that I was working with the opposite party because they didn't really understand real estate. So in that situation, I listen to what they're saying, and they're saying, "Oh, you're in on it behind my back with the seller." So I can listen, and then I can say I ain't got no feedback, or I can say, you know, I hear what you're saying. I'm not in with the seller. This is this and this and this, and lay out facts. But I would never get to the point to where I
Yeah.
could do that if I don't truly understand and listen to what they're saying. But I do agree that, you know, listening and sometimes feedback isn't required. I just think in some situations, you know, if you're involved in it or something like that, it can be difficult to not get feedback because then the person doesn't know where you stand with them moving into the future.
I don't
mean,
think you're saying
if
he
I don't-
doesn't give feedback.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
just
no,
not
no.
a lot of feedback.
Nah, people
Like it's
know
short,
me.
simple, sweet, to the point.
My circle knows me basically to the bone.
He
And
be talking about this circle every week.
if I ain't got no feedback, then it's a green light. We good to go. Like I support you, whatever it is, we good to go. If I have feedback, that means it's a red light. But majority of the time, I ain't got no feedback. Do what you want to do. It's your life. If we go into a Lil Wayne concert and I tell you beforehand that I'm driving, That's it.
And
There's
but what
no-
you're not here.
I
It's
don't need
time
to
to
Some
know
go.
people
And
what
you're
just
not
saying.
need
here.
that confirmation.
That-
Like,
but
okay, I'm
if
not
I
there
tell
yet,
you-
but I'm still
listen.
coming.
If I'm a man of my word and my word holds bond, I'm gonna be there to pick you up.
It's 9:00. The concert started at 9:05.
Okay, that would never happen to me in my life. I'm
Where
gonna
you
be on
at?
time. I believe being early on time. That's early on time to me. Being early. Being
I'm the
late.
same way.
But hypothetically, hypothetically speaking,
I-
let's
I'm
just
just
say
saying,
he's
no,
late.
there's
Are you
no-
gonna
there's
send
no-
a 5
Hey,
minutes away
check this out,
text or
check this out.
running 10 minutes
There's
behind?
no hypothetically. That ain't never gonna happen.
What? Okay.
I got an example.
Okay,
I
go
got an
ahead.
example.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to put it out there. We've all been a little bit late to this podcast before I make my statement.
Huh?
Every single one of us. Now, in the chat, when Robert will send, links out, you'll be like, I need a few minutes or running a few minutes behind.
Mhm.
That's what he's talking about. That's one and the same thing. Granted, in the Lil Wayne scenario, you wouldn't be late to go picking somebody up. But if you are late to something, you're gonna let that be known. Right? But you do.
with
It's not you do.
Fitz he'll call me if I'm not on here. He knows I'm gonna show up every time on time unless something happens out of the blue. Something that's out of my control.
So you haven't sent a message saying running late
I'm not
where I need a few minutes.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying
That's the communication he's
listen,
talking about.
here's
That's
the thing,
the
though. Here's the
confirmation.
thing. Robert knows I'm gonna be on here every single Friday probably at the same time. He knows I'm gonna show up. He knows I'm gonna be here. If I'm not here within 10 minutes, he knows something happened. He already knows. He already knows Ty's gonna be on here. That's what I'm telling you. He already knows. Now, when I ask for 15 more minutes, it's because something went past the time it needed to go by, and I let him know that way he's not calling me.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
But
that's exactly it.
But that's the thing, though. The hypothetically doesn't really count because if that situation didn't happen, I'd be on when I'm on. He knows I'm gonna be on the consistency.
I'm saying if something
so
happened,
it's 30 minutes past and you just ain't said nothing. He called you.
He gonna start the podcast without me. He know if 30 minutes pass by, I'm not getting on the podcast.
But you wouldn't say I'm not getting on the podcast or this and this happened, so I can't make it. You wouldn't like communicate that fact. You would just not show up.
I would call and ask if he started the podcast already. And then if he proceeded to ask me what happened, I'll tell him.
I think she's saying beforehand. Like if you like know you're not gonna be there, that communication.
That's some feedback, correct? I said that earlier. I'd give some feedback.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
I said that when it's needed.
When it's needed. All right, let's get on to the next question then.
Y'all trying to grill me like I'm a piece of steak.
No.
Hey, shout out Tatiana. Tatiana was clapping for me. Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you.
Wasn't nobody clapping for you? I mean, wasn't nobody
clapping?
not clapping? I meant to say, I meant to say,
you don't got a nose ring. You think
say-
you all tough now.
I've been had this for years. I meant to say, nobody wasn't not clapping for you. Like we weren't not agreeing with you.
I didn't say you. I didn't say that. I said thank you to
Anyway.
Tatiana for clapping for me. That was it.
Go Tati.
Do you guys got any questions? Like any?
How do you feel about it?
He said how he felt. He can jump in at any time.
I'd like some more detail, please. He's okay with it. Go
So-
ahead.
This man gonna give a 2
Talk
hour
that
lecture.
talk.
I
Don't do
mean,
that.
Let me hear some.
me personally, I think that when it comes to listening, it's more of a respect thing. I think that you know it takes empathy and it takes respect, I think, to listen to someone and truly try to understand them, not agree with them, but just understand them. Where I think that it goes left field, and I could speak to this personally, is I think that there's just all these different communication styles, and there's just some things, like me personally, I don't mind the back and forth and the getting loud and the getting passionate and the throwing little dirty jabs and, you know, like the pettiness, you know, like I live for those moments, but I try to put them in context, and I try to, like, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun to play. It's not fun to play basketball with somebody that doesn't want to play basketball. I'll just put it that, like, when I play basketball, I want to play against somebody that really wants to play. I don't want to play against somebody that really doesn't want to play. So that's the same thing with like the arguing and stuff. It's like, I really only like to argue with certain people because I know that it's like a sport, you know, you don't really get, this is why I stopped arguing with people about religion, is because I don't get anything out of it anymore. Like I've done it so many times that it's not fun anymore. Like it's just, you see people, they get disappointed, they're like really hurt, and I just don't get into that anymore because I've done it so much. But I just think that when it comes to listening, it's very difficult to know when people want you to listen and when people actually want that conversation. Like I know, like sometimes Shalisha, when she's talking to me, she'll be like, so what do you think? Or, like, what would you do? And sometimes, like Ty says, it's like, it's hard to give that feedback because you're not that person or you're not living in their shoes. So one of the things that I think is important that we talk about is having purpose for the conversation. Like, what is your purpose for that actual conversation? So do you guys think that a conversation is better, worse? What do you think purpose means for a conversation, if anything?
It just depends on the person. If somebody come to me and tell me something and they want an opinion, they know what they finna get. So that's why I said I don't really give feedback unless they
What
ask.
are they gonna get?
They don't get the raw truth, and it's probably gonna hurt their feelings a little bit. But then they gonna go think about it and then come back and be like, "You was right," and I ain't gonna say nothing because what I'm telling you is free game. And if I've been in their situation, I'll offer my advice. If they take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't.
So do you think it's the raw truth that they don't like, or the way that you say the raw truth?
A little bit of both. I think the way I deliver it may not be the best form to deliver it because it just comes out. There's no censorship of it or like sugarcoating or beating around the bush. Straight to the point, simple, sweet, boom. Some people don't like that. It's like I describe things that happen to me that I may not like as a punch in the face. Like it punches me in my face because I'm just like, that's disrespectful. Like that makes me feel some type of way inside. So I do that to other people, maybe not intentionally, but if you ask for some advice, I'm gonna tell you how I would tell myself. And whether you be cool or come out of a bag, that's on you.
So what I'm picturing is if you were a pizza delivery person, they would open the door and you would throw the pizza at them instead of handing it to them. You getting the same pizza either way. Yeah, it's the same pizza. Nothing happened to the pizza, but I'm gonna throw the box at you instead of just handing it to you. Thank you for ordering Domino's.
If they come into me, they know what they're gonna get every single time. If they wanted something sugar coated, they could have went to another person that was sugar coated for them. But they came to me because they want to grow and they want to know the truth.
So if they want to grow and they want to know the truth, why would they have a problem with the way that you said something if they already know that's what they're gonna get?
Because growth is uncomfortable. I mean, think about somebody telling you something that you've been doing your entire life, that you've only known your entire life. Think about them telling you that something different, that you need to fix that. That's not good. That's gonna aggravate you. That's like somebody telling you not to be Catholic or Christian because it was colonizer tactics that they brought over from Europe. Somebody gonna be mad because that's all they've known for however long they've been alive. So, and having to unlearn and relearn that, it's a process and it's hard because then you have to question a lot more things and question people in your life. But then you get to the point where they don't even know. That's just something that was passed on and passed on and passed on. So you have to really reflect and look at yourself. And sometimes people attach themselves to so much to that identity that without it, they don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm. So what do you and Tati think, Shalisha?
Oh, together?
Separate. I'm just including. I was trying to use the correct grammar, but what do y'all think?
Florida.
Oh, you can go first, Shalisha.
Okay. I feel like there does have to be
Acting bougie out here, bro.
I am not bougie. I feel like there does have to be a purpose for the conversation. Like, what do you want to come out of the conversation? Do you want that initial feedback? Do you just want to be heard? I personally will voice mine. If I don't, sometimes I don't make things as clear as they need to be. But majority, I try to make it as clear as I want it to be. Robert, be quiet.
She like, I want some pie. I want some pie. What kind? I don't know pie. You want apple? I don't know. All right, I'm gonna make apple. No, I don't want apple. Well, what do you want? You want cherry? No, I don't want cherry.
That just has to do with me being a very indecisive person, actually.
But
It's like, I feel like
I
I
just
want pie,
love
but
my
I don't want
snacks.
pie, but I do want pie.
No, but I feel like it's good to be very clear when you want to have certain type of conversations, but it's also good to have that purpose and know exactly what you want out of it.
Okay.
And it's important for the other person to know as well. I feel like sometimes a lot of people go into conversations expecting one thing, but then something else happens, and that's just a miscommunication. So.
That's important.
Tatiana, let's hear
What
your
do you think,
perspective.
Tatiana?
You live
Well,
with
you
Fitz.
should.
You live with Fitz every day, 24/7.
Oh, we're talking about Robert?
Are we talking about me?
Let's hear.
Because then, I mean,
Hold
I
on,
could
whoa,
change
whoa,
my
whoa,
answer.
whoa. I just want to hear Tatiana's perspective. Fitz say he likes
What about
to argue.
Robert?
Hold on. Fitz say he likes to argue, he likes to debate and all these things. And we know Tatiana and Fitz are two intellectual people. I just want to know what Tatiana does. If she actively listens to him or anybody else in her life, what is her approach?
So
Let me talk about Robert.
after, I guess, in pertaining to my loving husband,
That part.
to my right over here.
Which put your hand?
Speaking specifically, you know, I have made quite a few adjustments when it comes to how I conversate with this man to my right. You know,
Tell me the process.
my lovely over here. You know, when we first in the beginning, you know, in the early years of, you know, even before we dated and we
For our entanglement.
No, there was no entanglement because there's no Louisiana dude up in here wrecking our home, and I don't know. Was it no one cheated? But what? Huh? Okay. Anyway, I'm
gonna focus on the entanglement part.
I'm gonna hurry along with this. So definitely when we were friends, and maybe this is, I don't know what, maybe it's just the way you spoke. Maybe it's because we weren't in a relationship. I don't know what it was, but it just seemed like I definitely would talk to you a bit. Like I would go back and forth with you a little bit more. And maybe it's just because, you know, as friends, we're not living with each other, you know, when we were in separate dorms and then, you know, had our own, even in sharing a house, we had separate rooms, you know, we had space, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we could have a 3-hour back and forth about something, but then at the end of the day, you got to go back to your room and I got to go back to mine, and I'm gonna be able to, you know, do my own thing until I see you for maybe, you know, a next day or 2 days, 3 days, however long until I see you again. You know, we got class, we got different things going on. But fast forward to now we're dating, you know, now we're living with each other. And now this isn't just, you know, hi and bye. I see you when I see you. Oh, you know, I haven't seen you for a minute. Let's have a conversation. This becomes a 24/7, 365 thing, right? So that's a little bit different. We don't have that same space like we used to. So now the arguments don't, they just keep coming, and it just and it ain't no bad thing, you know. It just, you ain't it the time for space is no longer there. No, you haven't done nothing. This is nothing wrong. We just talking about how we compensate and how I've, you know, I'm just saying, you know, in this new version of things where we're constantly together and that we're never apart. You know, it's like we glue. We white on, I'm you the white and I'm the rice. You know,
I'm brown.
Hey, my dog tripping, bro.
I
I'm
ain't the
brown.
white.
Hey.
I ain't the white. Shoot, somebody got to be something here. So what I'm trying to say.
You the white
Basically,
and I'm the
we
rice.
2 peas in the pot.
You guys should have your alone time now. It's key.
We don't, and
essential.
I get
You
my
can't miss
alone
somebody
time.
if you're always away,
I
if
wake
you're
up
always
early.
together, so I'm saying.
I wake up early. Sometimes I go to the gym alone. Sometimes, like, but I get what she's saying in a sense.
Yeah.
It's I think
but
okay, go
I
ahead.
just
Finish.
want to finish up my statement with it's a lovely thing. I love everything. Life is love, love is life, and everything is great.
Yeah.
You know, and it's different. You know,
Say
when you're
that.
constantly with somebody who likes to do the arguing thing, like I'm cool with it every once in a while, but every day, all the time, and because we here and it's like there's nowhere for it's not like, oh yeah, I gotta go back to my dorm. All right, man, I catch you later. You know, there's no ending. It's just like we going into and getting into bedtime with us now you disrupted my sleep. It's like I didn't want to do that to you. You keep going. We can end it. We can end it, man. We can
Started doing some impersonations out here, boy.
I've been exposed.
On Robert's defense, though, sometimes he's not trying to argue. Sometimes he's trying to understand, and it just comes off that he's trying to argue or go back and forth. But he just loves to analyze it down to the nitty gritty. But that's something he has to work on too.
Let me connect this back
to tone, because sometimes he can get powerful.
Let me connect this back to entrepreneurship real quick. Let me connect this back to entrepreneurship, okay? Because I think this is important because it has to do with communication styles. Okay. And I think it has to really do with how you set your team up as well. And so I think in entrepreneurship, self-development and personal development is very important. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being argumentative because you need that person that's willing to walk into a room, whether they're talking to another CEO, whether you're at the bottom, you're talking to somebody at the top, whatever the case is, you need that person that's going to sit there and speak their mind, analyze everything and say, I don't care if that dude has $1 billion, he's playing us right now, or, and ask those questions. So I think that it's important. And you need that person that really doesn't like arguing, because that person can sit back and say, you know what, Robert, this isn't worth it. I know that you do things this way, but maybe we could be a little more strategic or something. I think it all plays in together, and it just comes down to I got to, bro, I can't focus with you doing that. Okay. It just comes down to knowing what situations you're in. But I will say, not in my defense, because everything she says is correct. Like, I do like the arguing. I don't think I do it on purpose. I think I'm more of the mindset of the future. And so in my mind, if this is a problem right now, then if it's not addressed, it will still be a problem in the future. So if we don't talk about whatever it is that's happening, like if I'm in a ship and it's filling up with water and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to ignore that. And then I wake up tomorrow and the ship's underwater, like, I feel like you should address something when it happens, because I'm the type of person where if I hold it in, then it's like an explosion, instead of just like, here's this, and then let's work through this, and this. And I'm the same way in business, like here's this issue. Okay, let's get that handled so that 2 months down the line, it's not a problem.
I just want to add that I agree with your first statement that both the argumentative and the non-argumentative persons do have their roles and their proper place.
He eating this up.
In
I know what he did.
In the realm of entrepreneurship.
He gets you every week with something, man.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
He alley-oop you the Fitz ball, and you dunk it every day. Every time he's just like, here you go, Tatiana.
These are individual perspectives.
And then there's Shalisha on the side, like,
anything, brother.
Shalisha on the side, like I think
I try to, bring
Try to reel it
something
in.
positive to both sides and bring it back to focus.
Different
but y'all just-
perspectives.
I mean,
yep, there you
Something
go.
happened.
Trying to get everybody to see everybody's point of view and understand. Ain't that what we talking about?
Yep.
yeah,
Boy,
I
put
thought,
your hand
I
down.
thought we was doing.
That's
good.
all
No,
I
we
be
do-
trying to do.
we're
I
doing
just be
good.
trying- that's all I be trying to do.
We
I
doing
just be
good.
trying to let everybody's perspective, bring that
I was called
insight,
out by
positivity.
name though.
Who by who? Me?
I was called out by ain't nobody else been called out by name.
Ty did it.
I haven't done nothing but answer questions that. Were
I'm not
directed
talking about
to
you.
me.
Me too. I just asked the
Okay.
question.
He's talking about Ty. Ty,
Ty.
this is what weird. Robert was talking about at the beginning of podcast when he be saying Ty be saying something, but don't be saying nothing. He be doing that to you.
And then
every week.
you fall right into it. And
Huh?
Let me just finish because
I'll be doing
before I
nothing.
lose my train
Go
of thought,
ahead.
Yes, you
and
do.
forget the question
Go ahead.
because that be happening to me.
Go ahead.
Look, man, you said earlier in this very podcast that you live for the argument. I don't live for the argument. I can argue. So, if I see that because you were mentioning the CEO and he's ripping us off the money, like, if I'm in a situation where I see someone, this is a bad deal and I'm getting ripped off. Yes, I'm going to call that person out. I'm not just going to be there like, oh, I don't want to argue. Like, because I've argued with you before. Like we've had our share.
Well, let me ask you a
share.
question.
Wait, I'm not
Did
done
you
yet.
buy the baby cake?
Huh? We've had our fair share of debates. We've had our fair share
See?
of debates, and so I can do
Who
it.
had to
but
interject
I
in that?
prefer not to, and I just want to close it.
Okay,
we talking
that's
about
what I'm saying.
I thought that might have been a good example for
It is a good
Jason.
example. That's what I was
just
gonna.
talking
I was gonna
crap,
ask
to
a
be
question
honest.
to Tati and you guys
what baby
if-
cake.
at the
When I
restaurant
came
where
to
he got
visit.
you to buy the thing
Because
or
you
whatever.
said
But
that
we
you
on.
would interject, but
Oh,
You
that's why I
didn't,
was like,
though.
did you buy the baby
You
cake?
didn't. So let me. That's the question I was gonna ask. Is if we're in a situation where some shady stuff is happening, would you rather you do the arguing or me do it?
Oh, you do it constantly and you live for it. So of course, I think you should. If
That's all
what
I'm
you
saying.
live for, you should probably do that.
That's all I'm
You know,
saying.
I'm not saying I can't do it. If it comes down to it, I'm by
You
myself. I
can.
got to, I will. And I thought I did. That shouldn't have been on the ticket. I made it clear that I didn't want
You
it.
did
and
not
he
make
just-
it clear.
And he just stuck it up on
No,
there
you
anyway.
didn't.
You did not make it
I
clear.
did
Robert said-
say I
Robert
didn't
said-
want it. I did
Wait,
say no.
this
at the
ain't
end of
right.
that.
You say,
Okay, that's what I sound like.
Tati, I can't even lie though. I was with you on that instant. We was
They
both
was
fucking-
with you, and I had to come in.
Yeah.
No, we-
He
He don't-
save the day.
he knew he could
You
sense
know, the
that
first
energy.
place,
that I would
that's
tell
where
him.
we're going. Mhm.
That's
No,
why
we
you
not
wait
go.
on
We
your
haven't
own.
been back. We not going there.
What?
He ain't playing that game.
Oh, I'm going. I'm
We
going.
need to- after the
But
podcast,
we
I'll
don't
tell
have
you
to
why.
have that.
After the podcast, I'll
Okay.
tell you why. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to get
I need that
another
stuff shrimp.
question in before we get off of here.
So I got 25 minutes.
These people don't know what we're talking about.
I got
Can we
another
give this
No,
the
no,
audience-
I don't want to
start
get.
at
I don't want to
6.
get off track.
Oh, Lord, the audience.
I don't want to get off track. We be getting off track too much.
I'm sorry.
So, what role do you guys think that ego plays in people not wanting to listen?
Hmm.
And maybe Ty could start this off because he's the professional on the ego.
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't have ego. I'm sorry. Can't help
Is it your mentality or your ego?
this guy? They'll have to go
Right.
back to
So
that
which one
episode
needs to
like this.
change?
What? Why does something need
I'm
to
just
change?
not-
What happened?
We just playing. Okay.
Oh.
So what maybe I should do
Ego.
a setting or whatever, like a backstory. So when I say what role do you think ego plays in not wanting to listen, not necessarily saying that you're listening again to what they're saying and you're doing what they're saying, but let's say that, like there's certain situations where I know when somebody doesn't personally like someone, but that other person is saying something that's true, they still won't listen to them, because of how they personally feel. So I think a lot of times we can actually go into a conversation with bias, even if we don't know the person, like, oh, this person is trying to, they got a degree, they think they're smarter than me, or, they're bigger than me, so they're trying to do this, or, like they're they're white, so they think that they have white privilege, whatever. Like we go in with all these assumptions and stuff. And sometimes I feel like we can let our ego get in the way of us actually listening to what it is that they're communicating with us. And we have that self-talk while they're talking. So have you guys noticed that, been through that, experienced it? Maybe has your ego ever held you back in a conversation where you kind of look back at it and was like, wow, I was like very egotistical?
I don't have ego no more. Left my
You-
ego outside. It's homeless.
You lost it?
Yeah. I feel like ego just, not even that it makes you a bad person. I just feel like it taints a lot of stuff, a lot of conversations, a lot of bridges. Um, I think for me, it's just better not to have ego. We were taught to have ego, but at this point, I'm not going to, I guess, not listen to somebody, or I guess it depends on the situation. For me, it's all about respect. If we respect each other and we good, we good. If it crosses the boundary, then I'm gonna back up to where we don't set the bridge on fire. Cause if you set the bridge on fire, I'm just gonna go ahead and knock it down. Ain't no point in wasting time. I ain't just gonna sit there and let it burn for hours upon hours. I'm knocking it down within the first 30 minutes. So I leave my ego at the door when I handle situations. I don't really get into it like that.
What about you, Shalisha?
Shalisha ego huge, ginormous. Can't fit on the
I don't have
screen.
ego. I feel like I'm a very open and understanding person, or at least I try to be. I try to be unbiased. Why do you look at me like that?
What?
I try to be.
She gonna say one day, I think she was at the airport or something. She gonna say, I'm too cute, I'm gonna get kidnapped or something.
It happened. That has nothing to do with ego. I've almost been
That
kidnapped.
has
Hey,
nothing to do
bro.
with ego.
Like,
Who
There's
kidnapped you?
there's
no.
thousands of people in this airport, and you gonna
I
get
don't know who
kidnapped
they
out of
gonna-
everybody because
Who
you
want to
so
kidnap a
cute.
horse?
Statistically, women are profiled and targeted for kidnapping and things of that nature more than men are.
But anyway, as I was saying, I try to be open and understand and unbiased at all times. So
Well, yeah, that's the goal, but
you can't
What's
really
your percentage?
understand what somebody is saying, huh?
What's
Percentage
your
of what?
percentage? You say you try to be. Everybody say that. That's just a cover up. I try to be this. What's your percentage of that? Out of 100%?
Me?
Yes. What's your percentage every day? Lie to me.
I would say 80% of the time.
Mm.
so what have you observed other people? Like, this doesn't even have to be you, but as far as just what role do you think ego plays in general with people not wanting to listen or people not listening?
I feel like it holds them back
In what ways?
in every way, as far as growth goes, being able to actually have a conversation in itself, and constructive criticism as well. Like, you got to check that at the door. Personal feelings are not needed.
But what if they say, like, what can you tell me about me? Like, who are you to say anything about me? Live your own life, mind your own business. Is that their
That's
ego?
fine.
Is that their ego?
No.
If they say, who are you to tell me about me, mind your own business?
Yeah. Is that their ego? Like, you can't tell me nothing. Nobody could tell me anything, or what is that?
Are those two? Are those? Is that saying the same
I feel
thing?
like,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's more pride. They're too prideful to be able to accept what somebody else has to say.
And would you say accepting is doing what they say, or just understanding them? Like, what do you mean by accepting?
Understanding, because you don't necessarily have to do what somebody else says to understand where they're coming from or their point of view.
What were you gonna say?
They can still make a valid point and it not pertain to you specifically.
I was just throwing out there that I wasn't sure if saying what the first thing you said, who are you to tell me da 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 da, mind your own or leave me alone? And then you said a second version, which was worded differently. I forgot exactly what that was. I think you were saying, I don't want to hear what you have to say or something. One of those, what you remember what you said? You said two different things, but you were trying to say they were the same statement.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the same thing.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that's why I was saying I wasn't sure if those two were
Okay,
the same
I thought
thing.
I thought you had something to add.
Oh no.
Okay,
Not, no.
so so
Oh.
yeah, so I think when it comes to ego and not to be mean, I'm not trying to cut her off or anything. It seemed like she didn't have nothing to say.
Oh no,
but
yeah, no,
with the ego, I think when it comes to listening, I do think that it plays a large role in the listening part, because everyone wants to be the person that has the answer. I feel like, and when I say everyone, I'm not saying everyone literally. I'm just saying we're socialized to be, like, oh, if I find the answer to this problem, I have value. Like, I don't think there's enough value placed on just understanding someone, listening to them, and just being there for them. I think that we're kind of taught, like, if you can't do anything for me, if there's nothing tangible, then that means that you're of no value. So I do think that a lot of people will, like, if you ever notice, like, sometimes you could just be talking and then somebody overhears and like, huh, what's going on? And then they start trying to figure out what's going on, and then they try to solve the problem and stuff like that. I'm guilty of it. I know a lot of people are guilty of it. I just think that there's not enough value on just listening to understand instead of listening to be heard. It looked like you had a disagreement, Ty.
I'm not a person that wants to have all the answers, man. The answers come to me when they come to me.
If they come at all.
If they even come at all, maybe it's not for me to know. And I have to be okay with it. I have to accept it.
So wise.
Just
you kind of
on my journey. That's it.
The journey of life.
Yep.
The journey of life. All right. So we're getting near the end of the podcast. Before we get out of here, just want to say, go check out FITZMINDSET.com. Text FITZMINDSET to 22828 for the free life balance and core beliefs workbook. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, group coaching, live events, all that great stuff, hit us up. Link in the bio or the description. I be on Instagram so much. Make sure you like, comment, share the videos. We do this for y'all. As Tatiana described earlier, there's not a lot of money coming in from it, so anything helps. Anything helps.
Cassandra, donate
Feedback
to the,
is necessary.
Cassandra got a shout out. She needs to donate to the podcast.
Yes, we do charge for that kind of stuff. So Sandra, you owe like $5-10. Yeah.
A piece.
So let's get to our practical piece of advice and get these people on home.
People on home.
Get these.
All right, Robert, what's your practical piece of advice?
My practical piece of advice is to listen to understand, and make sure you go check out the blog. It'll be in the description. I go into more detail on this subject. If you're really looking for practical ways, I outline a bunch of sources in there that teach you about active listening, listening to understand, all of that great stuff. But just be open-minded and try to understand that the conversation isn't always about you, and go into it with good intentions, have a purpose for the conversation, and ultimately realize that you're fortunate enough to be in a conversation with another person to begin with. Don't take it for granted. And one day, when you're older, no one may want to talk to you anyway. So enjoy it while you can.
I'm done.
Well, dang.
said no one may want to talk to you anyways.
I don't know if I can match
My
that.
practical piece of advice is, again, to reiterate, be open-minded. If you're the person that is holding the conversation and you're not really getting what you want out of it from people, then make sure you communicate what it is you want. Again, your purpose from it. Sometimes people need you to communicate that point to them. And again, as always, listen to yourself, trust in yourself. Nobody knows you better than you.
Round of
thank you.
applause.
We'll let Ty take us off. So Tati,
I'm done.
My practical piece of advice is just stay true to yourself and just hold on to your mental and you just
you struggling over here.
Right, I was about to say she's
What you got to say, Ty?
The struggle is
She's
real.
sinking. She's sinking over
She
here.
is. She battle.
Shut up.
Y'all can hear me?
Can you
Boom,
give
boom.
me time? Can I get
Y'all can
this
hear me?
out? Can
Yeah, we can hear
Unfortunately,
you.
yes, we can.
Look, man.
As the GOAT, J. Cole once
Mm-mm.
said, "No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Love yours."
Hey,
Off the
hey,
bottom.
hey.
What Tatiana doing?
Let me try this again.
She don't even know.
Hey, she look like a
Look.
girl from Rugrats.
What?
Cynthia.
Angelica.
Susie.
Oh, no,
I don't look like no
Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Susie, bro.
Cynthia.
Can you
Yeah.
at least say I look like the black character?
Chucky.
Why
I
are
was
you?
gonna say Cynthia.
Right, isn't her
Hey,
name
what?
Angelica?
Philip.
Who's Angelica?
No, Cynthia was the doll, was the toy. Angelica was the 3-year-old girl who owned the toy. Susie was the
Okay.
little black girl that was
Oh,
around
I'm talking about
sometimes.
Susie.
Chucky was
Okay,
the
Miss
dude with the
Susie.
orange hair. Rugrat, remember Tommy? He was the bald-headed
Yep.
one. Dill was
Yep.
his little
She going
brother.
through the
His
whole
little
phase,
brother.
and
Well,
bro.
let's
Lil.
just
Yep.
call you that.
Right,
Let's just
she
call
there.
you. Have you guys seen Ned's Declassified?
Stop.
Leave her alone.
Stop it.
Leave her alone. Don't
Why
do
that
that.
Can I get out what I
familiar,
wanted
bro?
to say? Look, man.
Girl,
You know
what's
what I'm
your
trying to
practical
say.
piece of advice? You know you gotta come with that heat.
My practical piece
that.
of
Put your
advice,
phone
people.
away.
Yes, that's who it is. That's who it is.
Susie.
Look, man.
It is
My
Susie.
practical piece of advice, what I'm trying to say is, look, you're gonna face a lot of ops, okay, opposition
Ooh.
in this world. And when I
Okay.
say hold on to your mental, I mean just stay true to yourself. Don't forget
Right.
who you are. People are constantly trying to change you. That's what they doing, man. That's what they doing. They trying to get at you, get in your head. Who is that? They trying to get
Felicia?
at you, get
Boy,
in
bye.
your head
You wish.
and try to change
You
who you are,
wish.
what you stand
ego will
for.
come out.
They are trying to test you and your foundation, and you have to stay
Yes.
strong. That's what you gotta do.
Yes.
Of all the experiences I've had, it's always been
about
someone trying to
stamina.
come into my life. I'm not bothering nobody, and they trying to change me, something about me, what I'm doing. Like, leave me
I love
alone.
it.
I wasn't even talking to you,
Yes.
bothering you. So you know,
Right.
my
Mind your
practical piece of it,
business.
right. So it's like my practical piece of advice is all these people gonna come along and they just gonna keep on keeping on, keep picking and chipping and getting at you, trying to figure out how they can get you to
Hey, I'm
change
quitting
your
this
whole
podcast, bro. I'm
foundation
quitting this
and
podcast.
stance.
Girl,
You
do
know,
that,
so
girl.
just
Talk your talk.
don't let them get you. Don't let them get you. All these ops
Don't let them get
out here.
you.
Don't let
I'm
them
gonna
get
have
you.
to. I'm gonna have to quit this podcast.
Yeah.
Don't let them
True to
get you.
So
yourself.
that's another episode of From the Bottom Pod.
Hey, bro,
We done.
I look like you, bro. Oh
out.
my God, from the
bottom.
bottom.
Tati, you're beautiful.
Hey.
You're beautiful. You're
Thank
beautiful.
you.
From the
You're
bottom.
Thank you.
beautiful.
Give me
You
nothing
don't
but
look like
show some
that.
love.
They